Hey there, folks. You are tuned in to Kana's Corner, and I am not Kana, as you are very well aware by now. I'm filling in for her. She's still working on a few things. She's got to get some bugs worked out. We do have it set up to where you guys can still listen, even if the site is down for you. We're working with our site provider and whatnot to get everything all fixed up. But I have a very special guest with me today in the corner that does not belong to me. It is Mr. Steve Kramer. Say hello.
Hello, how are you?
Doing good. How are you? And if he didn't mute his microphone because he got a phone call, I also have another special guest. I have special guest number C or D or something like that. Yugi Boy, say hi. And he's not here apparently. Oh right, that sounds like fun.
I guess I'm gonna have to fill in for him.
I guess so. Anyway, let's get this started. So we were talking behind the scenes first off about you worked on Power Rangers actually as a writer.
Yeah, I was working for the Saban company. I can't remember which year it was exactly. Probably late '80s. And I had been writing and directing anime for them. And the head of the company, Hayam Saban, found some material in Japan that he thought was fun. And he brought it over here, and we were asked to actually audition or take a writer's test to see if we could handle the material. Because what they did was they used in a half-hour show, they used about 15 minutes of previously shot material from Japan, and then they shot 15 minutes of new material here in America, here in California.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. I'm sorry, I thought you were going to ask a question.
Oh,
well,
no.
Anyway, okay. Well, anyway, so they needed people that could write to previously existing Japanese material and make it into English and hopefully make it fun. And then they needed people to be able to write original material that they could film. So even though some of us had been writing anime, they didn't know if we could write original material, so they gave us a writer's test. We had to come up with some scenes and stuff to prove to them that we knew what we were doing. So I did that, and I got hired. I was one of the first, I guess, 4 or 5 writers that were hired to do Power Rangers. I'll tell you this: when we went to the first, I guess I wrote the first episode after the pilot, and I think Tony Oliver wrote the pilot. And we went to a meeting in Hayam Saban's conference room, and I had no idea what this stuff was. I had not seen it or anything. And there was about 15 people around the conference table, and Hayam showed some of the footage from Japan. And he was way in the back of the room. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and my mouth is starting to drop open. It just looked so cheesy. It was just, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Well, I think that's part of the charm of the show is it is kind of cheesy, but I think a lot of us look back on it, nostalgically, and we love the cheesiness of it.
Well, the cheesiness was really part of what sold it, but I didn't understand it at the time because I had no idea what we were getting into. So as a first look at it, I'm sitting there, and my mouth is hanging open. It's starting to drop wider and wider. I think my chin finally hit the table. And I looked at the guy next to me, and I looked at the guy on the other side of me, and we all kind of shrugged our shoulders, and we thought, what in the world? And in the back of the room, I hear Hayam going, oh, look at this. Oh, this is so funny over here. Look at how he does this. And I thought, oh, my gosh. And as it turned out, I'm wrong, and he's right, and he's a billionaire.
Well,
he knew what he wanted to do. So he had a very clear vision of what he wanted to do with that show, and he carried it off just the way he wanted to do it. So what did I know? But I came on board pretty quickly, and I got into the goofiness of it, and we wrote some stuff. But as it turned out, the way it works on when you're writing anime, at least back then, you'd get an assignment, you'd write a script, you'd turn it in. Generally, there wouldn't be that many adjustments to the script or anything, so you'd be done in a week or so, and you'd get another script, and you'd move on, do another episode, so you could keep up a rate of pay, if you want to call it that. But with original stuff, and this is the way it works in Hollywood most of the time, there's all kinds of levels and steps that you have to do before a script gets completed. you usually have to submit an idea, a proposal, and then an outline, and then you have to write a first draft and maybe a second or a third draft. And that kind of thing, because they have to get notes from the producers and all, that kind of thing can take quite a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so there I was working on Power Rangers, and the producer promised me, he says, 2 weeks. Everything will be turned around in 2 weeks, start to finish. My first script took 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I said to him, "You're killing me. I can't write this and write the anime because I'm committed to one or the other. It takes a lot of time." I said, "But you're killing me. I can't make any money here." He says, "I don't know what to tell you. They told me 2 weeks, 2 weeks." So as time went on, it didn't get much better. I think they got it down to 4 to 5 weeks. And I finally said, "Guys, I'm so sorry. I mean, I love the work, I love the show, but I can't afford to work for you because I'm dying here. I'm going broke waiting to get through a whole process, a whole cycle of a script." So I had to leave, and I went back to anime and was able to pay my mortgage.
Right. Now, you said you wrote a lot of anime too, right? Can you name some shows that you've been a writer for?
Well, the biggest and most prominent one that I did way back when in '85 was Robotech. I was a writer, I was the script editor, I was a director, and I was an actor in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wore a lot of hats. And the producer of Robotech, the guy that really came up with the concept and put it all together, was a guy named Carl Masick. And he just died last month.
Right,
at a very young age. Yeah,
it was actually a very tragic thing for the anime community, because I know a lot of people, a lot of our fans, a lot of us, we grew up and Robotech was one of those very first things where we had kind of like a exposure to anime and the type of thing. And nobody obviously really knew what it was back then. We all thought it was this really cool show, and it was we didn't know it was 3 or 4 shows all mixed into one.
That's true. It was 3 shows. It was a thing called Macross, a series called Southern Cross, and a third series called Nospita. But Carl found the material over at Harmony Gold in Los Angeles, and he came up with the idea that if you put those 3 shows together and did some bridge material and wrote some stuff, that you could make a single series, and it turned out to be a single series of 85 episodes, and he called it Robotech. And so all the concept stuff of where this came from and the background and all that all came out of Carl's mind, his wonderful imagination. And he had to write a lot of the bridge material on the series, the stuff that explained what was going on and what was coming up, because nobody else knew really where it was going because it was in his head. So we would set up all the rest of the stuff, and then he would write some stuff, and then I might edit it, or I might make some adjustments or something, and vice versa. He would make adjustments on some of the stuff we wrote, and it ended up to be Robotech, which was wildly popular. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the first anime series to make a mark in America, but it was the first one that was completely popular, the one that really sort of transformed the landscape of anime in this country. Because there were other shows. I mean, somebody was mentioning, I think it was Kimba the White Lion, and G-Force had come out, and Voltron had just started. I think they had just started airing when we started writing. But the thing about Robotech that was kind of different and wonderful is that it was like a futuristic soap opera in a way. I mean, it wasn't just characters firing laser cannons and, blasting away things. I mean, that kind of stuff happened. But there was a whole human element in Robotech, because we developed the characters and made them into real people. And there were relationships that developed amongst the cartoon characters. And there was a death. There was a character named Roy Fokker, and he was a major lead in the first 18 episodes of the series, and then he was killed. He was killed. Nobody ever killed a cartoon character on American television. You could drop a safe on the coyote, and he'd just squirm out from under it and go chase the roadrunner. Nobody gets
Right.
killed in cartoons except this did. And I think the fans that watched the show, were drawn in by the human element of it, by the fact that it spoke to them because it wasn't a cartoon that they couldn't relate to. It was people having relationships and living and dying against a cartoon background. And,
Right.
and there was some cool mecha, and there was a lot of good action and stuff like that. But underlying all of that was this. You can call it a space soap opera if you want, but it wasn't quite that cheesy. But it spoke to people that way. There was a response to that kind of thing. And then it became like the most popular anime show that had ever come around. And it sort of set the stage for a lot more anime to be imported and rewritten into English and either broadcast or sold on DVD or whatever. A lot of that, happened after Robotech. So Carl really, I guess, needs to be given credit for sort of sparking the anime revolution in this country.
Kind of breaking the ground, planting the
he
seeds.
really was. Sometimes, when somebody asked him one time what he wanted to be remembered for, and the first thing he said was, "I want to be remembered as a good husband," because he was married to a lovely lady,
Oh,
a friend of ours. But secondly, he wanted to be remembered as the Johnny Appleseed of anime, which I think is a wonderful image, because he was going around planting the seeds of a whole industry that that sprang up after he started it.
Right, and
So
just to look at where we are today, I mean that's a pretty big name there.
Yeah. So I had to speak at his memorial. And I still remembered how much work. I mean, we were working on Robotech. We were working 6 and sometimes 7 days a week. I mean, literally. We weren't recording all those days, but we were recording a solid 5 and sometimes 6 to try and keep up the production schedule for 85 episodes. I mean, they had a broadcast schedule and they had to meet it. And I remember, just working around the clock. And I started out my talk about Carl Masick at his memorial. I said, in 1985, Carl Masick tried to kill me. I said, fortunately, the series wrapped before he could succeed. But that's sort of what was going on. We were all pretty tired, but I was particularly tired. They finished that series and they went on to do immediately. They turned around and started to do a thing called Captain Harlock and the Queen of 1,000 Years. I don't know if that was the final title in America, but that was the Japanese show. And they said, "Come on, let's go work on Captain Harlock." And I said, "I'll see you. I'm going to bed. I gotta sleep." So I didn't really get involved in it until much later. And then Carl established Streamline Pictures, and he had a number of titles that he wanted to do. So we worked together for many, many, many years. I worked on things like The Lensman. Vampire Hunter D. I can't even remember all the titles. I'd have to look at my own filmography on Wikipedia or something because I don't even remember. It's been so many titles that I have a resume that is multi-pages, single-spaced for writing and directing, and I can't even remember all the titles. When somebody puts me on a spot and says, "What did you work on?" I go, I can tell you what I'm working on right now. That's all I remember. I'm writing for the Bleach series.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I am.
That's good.
Yeah, so I was writing and directing on the Blue Dragon series, which I think
is that finished?
DVD. I think it is, but they're not broadcasting it. It's broadcast for a short window, and now I think they're selling it on DVD.
I remember they gave away the first episode for free on a couple of platforms and whatnot. That's like how I really became aware of it.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, there was a big popular game that came out, and then we didn't even realize there was a series that had been created after the game, but the Japanese were way ahead of us. So we worked on the series, but I don't know that it ever reached the kind of popularity that we were hoping. The game kind of set the ground for it, but then I don't know.
Actually, to be honest with you, I thought that the game was actually based off of the anime.
No, they did the game first, believe me. I'm well aware, because I worked on the game, and then months later they came up with the series.
I have to agree with Zach there, is that I was the same. I saw that there was a demo for the game, and I'm like, wait, wasn't that this looks like it was from an anime, so...
Well, nothing would surprise me.
Welcome back, Yugi Boy, who has apparently ninja'd his way back into the interview. You have to play a ninja sound effect there.
But one thing that I saw is that you were a voice director for the series Kitty Grade.
Which one?
Kitty Grade. At least it says so on Wikipedia, which could always be wrong.
I have no memory of a series called Kitty Grade. I wonder if the title was changed. You know, maybe that was the title, the Japanese title or something, and then it was changed to something else. Or I've discovered on projects I've worked on that I knew them by one name, and by the time they get distributed or exhibited or whatever, they've got another name on them.
So that might be what happened. Because I know
that might have been it.
I know that its English name is Kitty Grade because I've watched it before and I love the series. So.
Huh.
Right.
I wish I could help you on that one. That one escapes me. That doesn't sound familiar. Kitty Grade. I think I would remember something like that, but it doesn't ring a bell.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of series. I worked on something recently called Kyokara Mao, which I guess has been released on DVD. I really like that series. Unfortunately, just when we did 2 seasons of it, and there was more material, and we were talking about doing that. And at that particular time, several of the major anime production and distribution companies incinerated. They just went belly up. I don't know what happened, but distribution companies like Genion went out of business, and there were a few others. I think Bandai got in trouble. And all of a sudden, there wasn't anybody to generate the material. And we didn't have, suddenly it just came to a stop. Right. So, I like the series, and we were prepared to keep on doing it. And who knows, it's probably in somebody's vault somewhere, and maybe it'll come out sometime.
Oh, well, maybe. We'll see, and we'll hope that if it does, you get to work on that.
That'd be nice. I mean, I've worked on Naruto as a voice. I didn't write on it, or I think I did some fill-in directing one time. But I was the third Hokage on Naruto, and I know that was a big popular series.
Right. I actually watched the first season of it. Most of it, I skipped a lot of the filler episodes, which it's notorious for. But I really liked the performance you had given, actually.
Oh, thank you. You mean that old voice, that old man? Every time they get an old man, they call me up. Old man, we need your old man voice.
Actually, I noticed on your Wikipedia that you'd also played an old woman or two.
That happens. Just when you think you've got your sex down pat, they just throw a looper at you, and all of a sudden you're a girl.
Right.
It happens. It doesn't happen often, and it's usually not a big part, I remember years ago we were doing, for Saban, we were doing the Tom Sawyer series. Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. And I remember that they had to cast a black nanny, or like a black mammy from that era.
Right.
And they brought in a lot of actresses, and they tried out a bunch of them, and not all of them black, but some were.
Right.
The person that got it was Michael McConaughey. He's a white actor here in Los Angeles, and he played Mammy in either Tom Sawyer or Huckleberry Finn. I can't let him forget that because it gives me solace to know that he can play a woman.
It makes you feel better, helps you sleep at night.
That's right. That I'm not the only one. Well, most of the actors in town here that do this are pretty good. They're pretty flexible voices. They can do a lot of different things. And that's great because it keeps them employed, on some basis.
Right.
It's not like it was. I got to tell you, anime is not as plentiful as it was. some of it went to Texas, to Funimation. They're doing it cheaper there. I cannot say that they're doing it better, but they're doing it cheaper.
I know a lot of people had to uproot themselves from like New York and move to Texas and whatnot.
Well, some people have moved from Texas to here, and I hope that they don't regret it, because the work has slowed down quite a bit here in Los Angeles. I don't exactly know why. We might have saturated the market. I don't know. You know, there's just not enough places to show it. Cartoon Network used to show quite a bit of anime, particularly during Adult Swim and all that. But I think Cartoon Network has sort of morphed itself into trying to do original productions that they have an equity interest in, because it makes them more money if they own it or partly own it, as opposed to just showing it on the air.
Well, we don't want to say anything bad about the terrible quality of their shows or anything. I mean,
I actually would not, because I'm not in a position to pass judgment on something like that. If people either watch it or they don't watch it, it's up to them. But they're not idiots at Cartoon Network. They understand that, you know, there's more money to be made if you own the show, or if you own the rights to the toys, or one thing or another, as opposed to just airing the show. You know?
It's all about merchandising.
Yes, unfortunately. So, you know, we had shows that aired on Cartoon Network, and once there wasn't a slot for them, they just died. You know, sometimes they'd sell on DVD, but without the exposure on some broadcast outlet, there's just no place. People don't know about it, and the stuff just dies. So they cut back on production.
When I first heard of Trigun and it's escaping me. It's Cowboy Bebop. There we go.
Okay.
I saw just a couple episodes on Adult Swim, and I'm like, oh, these are, you know, interesting and, you know, new, and I need to, you know, check these out. So I did, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, Cartoon Network was a great outlet for this stuff. I mean, in the early years, they didn't have enough material, you know, because the Disney wasn't giving them stuff, because Disney was still airing their own stuff, you know, on the Disney Channel or wherever. And they needed material, so anime became a real building block for their company. But, you know, once they got established better and thought about their business model, they just you know, stopped buying as much anime. There's just not that many slots. I think Bleach still airs, I think on Saturday nights, and Naruto, I believe, still airs. They're still popular.
Is that still on Cartoon Network?
I'm sorry?
Is that still on Cartoon Network? I know that Disney Channel picked up the second season of that, but I haven't kept up with the first season anymore.
Well, maybe it's on Disney. I don't know. I might have got that wrong.
They took it off.
Bleach is on Cartoon Network still.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Naruto. You know, but Disney actually has been doing a few things in Japanese anime. They're doing this Stitch series based on the Stitch movie, and that was done, you know, originally produced in Japan. Mm-hmm. Even though Disney produced the original feature, the Japanese produced a series, and Disney saw it. I guess they liked enough of the quality of it, so they picked it up, brought it over here, and turned it into English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess they just take their baby back, in a sense.
This is ours. This is ours. Get your hands off of
it. Right. We gave you the rights. We're going to take this back now.
That's right. We're taking it back. Quit crying.
Well, is there anything currently that you're working on, other than Bleach, of course, that you want to talk about?
Well, you know, I'm here in Los Angeles. I'm an actor, so I do on-camera stuff too. I never tied myself entirely to anime. So, I mean, I actually have appeared on shows like House and Desperate Housewives and CSI New York, and I'm trying to remember some other shows that are still on the air. Malcolm in the Middle I was on, Roseanne way back when. Yeah, so I've been kicking around for a while. I think my business plan when I started out was, don't tie myself to one area, because, you know, I'll probably get killed somehow, you know, just financially and every other way. So my plan was to be as diversified as possible, so which means I do voice work, I do on-camera work, I do writing, I do script editing. I do whatever I have to do to keep an income flow coming in. And it's kind of hard in this business. I mean, people think of Hollywood and they only think of the major actors and stars who make a lot of money.
The Tom Cruises and the...
Sure. I mean, for those people, slow down and work doesn't mean anything. It'll all pick up eventually for them.
A few less $1 million a year.
That's right. Most of us aren't making anything like that kind of money. And we're lucky if we can keep up even a regular income in this business. It's very difficult, unless you break through.
Mm-hmm.
If you break through, you become a commodity. I mean, they can sell you like they sell ketchup or soap.
Right.
But if,
I like
if
ketchup.
you're not you like ketchup on soap. But if you're not a commodity, if you're not a commodity, you have to struggle to survive. You have to be smart and stay alert and keep your connections up and all of that to try and keep enough regular work coming so that you don't starve to death.
Right.
3 months out of the year.
Well,
So
I am being hoped that we are running a little low on time here, so is there anything else you want to mention? Any other animes, any other on-camera work, anything that people can catch, on TV or whatnot?
Well, nothing jumps to mind. I've been doing some commercials lately for products that some of them are regional. You see them over maybe in the New York area, or you see them in the Midwest or something. So it's not something people would be able to necessarily see on a national basis. The last thing I did, I think, was House, and that was nice. No, we're just plugging along as we always do, waiting for the next big thing to come through. You never know. I've talked to some of the people who run some of the studios here, and some of them are looking for material. A couple of them said they've got their eyes on something, on some shows that look really promising, but they haven't nailed them down yet or anything. So who knows? In 2 weeks time, I get a call saying, "Hey, we're starting up this, and this. Are you available?"
Right.
Until then, I'm just like everybody else, just out looking for work. We're all looking for work around here.
Fans, I think what he means by that is watch Bleach on Adult Swim.
Don't let Bleach die. Don't let Bleach die. Clap your hands if you want fairies to live. Don't let Bleach die.
Is there anything more you want to say on Mr. Masak? I know that you really want to talk about him and his influence and kind of give him a tribute. Is there anything like special you want to say about him?
Well, I think I've said a lot of it is that he was very, very important to the history of anime in this country. And I don't think you can overstate the importance of what he did.
Right.
And I just believe that anime as it exists today and the popularity of it today just wouldn't be where it is without Carl Masak. And, he was only 58 and he died of a heart attack, I guess.
Right.
But you just never know what's going to come around the corner. But for anybody that's an anime fan in America, you need to tip your hat to Carl Masak because he just kind of made it all happen.
Oh, definitely.
I will always be, in debt to him. He's helped me
he was
have
a
career
great man.
for a number of years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
we will do our best to remember him well.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Before we let go, there is one thing. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Is there any way that our fans could more or less stalk you, like follow you with either a Facebook, a Twitter, or a homepage where you put up news on the stuff that you're working on, or any place that you'll let your fans follow you on?
Well, here comes the horrible admission. I'm not on Facebook. I don't have Twitter. I know this is miserable, isn't it? I mean, the trouble is that it all came along after I had just finally learned how to use a cell phone. So I just never got involved in it. I keep getting these things in my email saying, so-and-so is inviting you to join Facebook or whatever it is they want you to do. And I just haven't done it yet. I know this is dumb. Don't hate me. But I know it's dumb. I just haven't gotten around to doing that yet. I have friends in this business like Richard F. Carr and people like that who are very prominent on Facebook. They let their fans know all the things that they're doing all the time. I just haven't done that. I don't know why. I just haven't I haven't put out the energy to do it. So unfortunately, until I get that done, there's no way to know what I'm doing except maybe check IMDb or one of Crystal Acids, is it, or one of those sites that sort of keeps track of our credits as we do them.
Right.
I wish I could be more help there. I someday probably will go onto Facebook. I just haven't done it yet.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's totally overrated, actually.
Well, I mean, I'm around.
Nobody really likes Facebook. They all just use it.
Basically.
Yeah, well, what are the options? I mean, there was MySpace, and that kind of got creamed by Facebook. And
Right.
is there anything else that came along that does what Facebook does? It's sort of
I think
town
pretty
hall.
much all you've got are Facebook and Twitter right now. That's your two main your big social medias at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the younger people in this business, of course, are all hooked up that way. Anybody 35 or younger, is hooked up that way because they have to be. This is how they socialize. This is how they get together.
Right.
But if you're over 35, and I'm a little over 35, then it's something that's sort of foreign to us. It's not to say that people don't jump on the bandwagon. Like I say, Richard F. Carr, he's on there. A bunch of people who work in this field are on there, and they have a fan following. People want to know what they're doing and what they're up to. And Richard goes to a lot of conventions too. I don't know why I haven't gone to.
Oh, you haven't
a lot.
gone to a lot. You should go to a lot more conventions. It's a lot of fun.
I guess so. I mean, I've been to some. I was on Transformers. We did a Transformers series. One of the, I think we were the third or fourth series that came along, and I was writing, directing, and acting in it. And they invited us to Fort Wayne, Indiana, for a Transformers. It was like the International Transformers Convention.
They have one of
So
those?
about 6, I guess so. So about 6 of us went and had a wonderful time. We were there for a weekend, like 3 days or something. Had a wonderful time. So I'm open to going to conventions. I just haven't been invited a lot. I'm probably a little under the radar, because
Actually,
I'm not on Facebook.
We have learned through a lot of talking with a lot of people that for these conventions, it's not so much that you have to wait to be invited to them, but you kind of have to put your name out there for the conventions, like the people who run them, and be like, hey, I would be interested in being a guest at your convention. I heard it's a lot of fun, so I would like to come.
Well, I guess I can do that. I'll ask some of my friends who go to conventions regularly, because there are guys here who go nearly every weekend, because there's usually a convention somewhere. And, they've been involved in this on some level, and they have a little notoriety, and they go. I, would be open to doing that. I don't want to do it every weekend. My wife would kill me. But, occasionally, probably be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like to interact with people sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure people would love to interact with you and stalk you.
I come out of my cave. I come out of my cave once every 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I look around, see if the sun's shining. If it is, I stay out. Really?
You see your shadow, you go back inside. And we've got
If I see my
weeks.
shadow, I go back in for 6 weeks. Forget about it. It's over.
All right. Well,
All right.
Before we do let you go, there is one thing that we have to ask you to do.
Sure.
It is a 918 The Fan tradition, and what we do is, on air, live, we ask you to do a bump for us, if that's okay with you.
A bump?
Uh-huh. What we like to do is we like to get a bump live on air for any bloopers and mess-ups. All the fans love to hear, like, the mess-ups, and, 98.1 The Fan. Oh, wait, is that the name of the site? Oh, crap, no. So,
Hey, you told me not to cuss.
That isn't a cuss.
I don't know if that counts. So what's the bump? Is it something that you have words I can write down?
Yeah, it's really simple. It's just my name is, insert your name. I do, insert whatever it is you do or currently working on or whatever you've done in the past, whatnot, and you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan.
Tuned in to 91.8 The Fan.
And you can do that in either a character voice or your voice. It's up to you. We don't mind.
All right. Well, maybe I'll use the third Hokage voice.
All right.
Okay. Anytime?
Whenever you're ready.
All right. Hello. My name is Steve Kramer. I write, direct, and act in anime projects. And you are turned in. And I screwed that up. Okay, I'll do it from the top. I'm turned in. I'm not turned in.
You are turned into 918.
You are turned into something. Here we go. I'll do it again. Hello. My name is Steve Kramer. I write, direct, and act in anime projects. And you're tuned in to 91.8, The Fan.
Perfect.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, that was lovely. It was wonderful having you on, Mr. Kramer. We really enjoyed the interview. We definitely will, post this up later for everyone else who missed it to listen to, and we will see if we can get somebody to make you a Facebook or something. And we'll hopefully
they
get
can
you
try.
Too.
All right. Super.
Anyway,
well, it was very nice talking to you.
This is Kibs filling in for Kanashimi, and you are listening to 91.8 The Fan, everything you want to hear and nothing you don't. See you later.